with memories being adjusted, like, who are you? Like, are you the accumulation of the things you have done? Does it matter if you remember those things?
Your memory's not great. So, like, there are things that I bet I could ask you, why do you do that? And you wouldn't be able to recall why.
Hello and welcome to Road Goes Ever On and On. Today, guest host Dawn and I are talking about the hit science fiction TV series from Apple TV Plus, Foundation, Season 2, Episodes 4 and 5, so spoilers are ahead. And if you're enjoying our content, then a like would be appreciated. If you don't want to miss a single one of our breakdowns, then just be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon for notifications. And with that, I figured we'd start off with Trantor and kind of some of the assassination attempts and or maybe actual assassinations, like, Dominion's whole succession up to Sareth.
Yes, she said there was how many? A lot, right?
Yeah,
in front of her.
I don't remember the number, but it was a lot.
And that she was suspicious that magically she's front of the line.
Yes, the only person that would be amenable to
Correct.
this whole thing.
Union.
And I'm not even 100% sure if she actually wants it or not, or if it's a ruse to get to why this happened or not.
I mean, I think there's pros and cons to both sides of it. But it does. I mean, didn't she say that her planet Dominion was failing, or it's just small? Maybe it was.
It's just
small.
Small compared to Empire, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know how to rule.
Yes.
She said that.
Yes.
So I think that's interesting that she magically was at the front of the line again.
Because she seems like so effortlessly able to turn on her charm. Like when she was with Dawn, I couldn't tell if there was like a connection there or if she was just being a little flirty to like get his guard down to hopefully have him open up or something. Like, I couldn't tell.
Well, they did say that. So in the very beginning of that episode or that section, they were talking about that she wasn't wearing her pigments.
Yes.
And when Rue asked her, like, you're not wearing your pigments, why? She said that it was purposely to, like, lower their guard.
Yes.
I didn't realize at that point she was talking about Dawn. I thought she was talking about Day.
Yes.
So she is purposely trying to manipulate their relationship. It's hard to tell. It did feel like they had a connection that they could talk, but also, was that all just a ruse to get information?
Yeah. There definitely is some interesting romantic tensions in the show. And like, I think the romance is interesting and heartfelt and sometimes it definitely does play on the drama, but I don't feel like it crosses into melodrama. Like this thing, is it real? Is it not? Who knows?
Right.
I do like the thing between like Hober Mallow and the cleric and brother. We'll talk about that later, but it's interesting kind of seeing like new cast and so some like new romances and interesting different kind of like things there.
But even the romance between Demoiselle and Day that has drastically increased.
It's weird.
It is weird. She is a robot. It is weird.
But she is technically a robot.
And he likes it when she's a robot. Because
when she's herself, I think, versus like trying to be somebody else.
That's fair.
Which I think at times can be a little robotic because she's always like very proper, and like perfect posture, probably like very perfect voice, doesn't have a lot of intonation to it because she doesn't have a lot of emotion.
Which was funny because I think of her the same. But then when she was leaving the room before Sareth came in and she was like, think of me. I was like, that doesn't work. Don't ever do that again.
I do wonder about her intentions.
They are questionable.
Because there's a lot of stuff with like memories in this. And, Dusk found out that Day took away his ability to alter his own memories. So only Day can alter his memories. And that also happened to Dawn, but we don't know whether or not Demoiselle has this ability, and we don't know if that was removed.
I I think she said that her memory was unalterable.
Her memory is unalterable.
But do you think can she alter others?
Correct.
Oh, I don't.
Why would they not trust her? They seem like they don't even think about the fact that she could. So this assassination attempt happens, right?
Right.
And Dawn and Dusk get under the microscope, and their whole thing gets looked at. But he doesn't even think about, like, could it be Demerzel?
No, of course not. He's betting her. He seems a little bit childlike and very impulsive, reactive.
Very impulsive.
And there's
very
no way
reactive.
that his judgment could be wrong about Demerzel.
I think part of it is probably that, like, false bravado, but I do think a part of it is, like, she is programmed. She's like ones and zeros. She can't break that programming. And so it's literally just not even an option.
Right.
But it was hinted at, at the end of season 1 that she is potentially might be able to break that.
Right.
And might be able to grow and change. And so I do wonder whether or not and it does seem like she's like making a lot of decisions and like driving things.
She is. She's definitely putting bugs in ears.
Yes.
And guiding. I am curious what the repercussions are of the fact that now people know, like Dominion, Rue,
right,
and the handman. He wasn't a handmaid. He was
I don't remember what.
Handman? I don't know. Now that they all know that she's a robot, what are the implications of that, and what does that mean? Is that something that Dominion can
leverage
or is that something that makes her hesitant because Demerzel is programmed, she's not able to be manipulated with rumors and whatever. I'm
very curious where that's going to go. I'm very curious what kind of leverage Dusk thinks he's going to get, because he, when they had the idea, Dawn and Dusk kind of got the clue that their memories have been adjusted. He said, let's not do anything yet until we have some leverage on him. I'm curious, like, what that leverage is going to be. But also, with memories being adjusted, like, who are you if you lose, like, are you the accumulation of the things you have done? Does it matter if you remember those things? I don't think that changes necessarily who you are in the past, but I think it can affect, like, your actions going forward.
That is a fair point, but it doesn't seem like, because Rue said that she didn't know that she was missing the memory.
Yes.
But it feels like how that memory affected her behavior moving forward was still intact. It's not like the experience of the memory was removed and now she no longer has those thoughts to fall back on. So I feel like even though the memory itself is gone, what she learned from it, what she gained from it, still helped.
I don't know if it does. Like, I think that sometimes you weigh your past experiences when making new decisions. And if you don't have that past experience to weigh, then you don't have that perspective. You're going to fall back on the perspectives you do have.
Your memory's not great. So, like, there are things that I bet I could ask you, why do you do that? And you wouldn't be able to recall why.
So you're saying, like, if it's like a habit.
Yeah, like if it somehow, like,
yes,
or it changes something about you and like you embrace that to the nth degree or whatever. Like I feel like if I could ask you something like, why do you do something some way? And you're like, well, I've done it for so long.
Yes.
But I don't know what moment spawned it.
But that no longer is correct. That's something that you just, like, do without thinking. Versus I guess I'm talking, and so yes, that will still continue to affect you because it's ingrained, regardless of if you can't remember how it got there. That habit or that way of doing things is ingrained.
It's like you got Men in Blacked.
Yes, but if you're trying to make a decision and it's a tough decision, and you're trying to, like, use your past experience of, like, I've done something similar to this, and this was the outcome. So I feel comfortable that I could do that again. If somebody took that from you, you might feel like you don't have that, like, oh, I was able to do that before.
Right.
In fact, this Dusk says that he hasn't really done anything with his legacy, right?
Yeah. He said that Demoiselle handled everything and that Day kind of judged him or was ashamed of him for it.
And he's worried about not leaving a legacy. That could be true, and this could just be a wild conjecture. What if he has had some kind of a legacy? He has done something significant, and that was removed from him. And so, like, part of why he's looking back at his life sad is because great accomplishments, great moments have been taken away for one reason or another. Who knows?
Right.
How much, like, 700 whatever grams versus like 200 or like whatever the numbers were
he was in line with all the others. He was like 82.
But they could have been edited as well.
Right, but I mean that would be a never ending. That would mean that he was Day, that he edited the previous. Like, I think that,
or it could have happened all at once.
Well, I think that's the bigger thing that they kind of talk about, is that the fact that Cleon the First has like 213 whatever measurements of memory.
Yeah.
And everybody after that has had, maximum of like 87 deaths. So, and, Dawn was like, well, he would have more life experiences potentially. But I think that's like the big, like, okay, we're missing a lot of memories of the original Cleon.
Right. When they were getting those memories, I noticed that the mural that was behind them was, to me, very different from a lot of the other murals. I don't know if it was like an earlier mural in the thing, because it only had 3 colors to it. And there were large swaths of it that were actually white and didn't have the other 2 colors. Maybe it's because it didn't have so much like detail with color or whatever. Looked kind of cartoony, very simple. It almost looked like a manga or something like that. Like, seriously, the illustrations were very simple. Like I said, it was like blue, gold,
white. Right.
That was it. And there wasn't a lot of blue and gold. I thought that was interesting. So I don't know if it's like older or it's just not something that they go by often, so they don't think about it and like touch up on it, because we do find out that like Dusk has to touch up existing ones.
I mean, it's not really, it's about before Cleon and his reign, so maybe it's not as important and they don't view it because they are Cleon.
Right, but it's not the first one that has been before Cleon's reign. They were,
no, that's true.
A few episodes ago, there was another one where they were talking about another reign of emperors. Their empire was like 4 times as large.
Right. That guy down in the memory room was killed for betrayal, so maybe that's why he's right. They said the green stripe. They talked about.
Oh, yes. I thought you were talking about the guy working the machine.
No,
that
not that
clearly doesn't know how close he is to like.
Let's talk about security in that place. It's like, can I have these memories? All right. Like, feel like if you're the keeper, maybe you should be a little bit more careful with what you're keeping.
He might be like the one. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like tough for you to get down there. Like, maybe you need clearance to get down there from the first place.
Maybe.
And so you're kind of trusted. But then secondly, because it's like pretty nerdy stuff, it's possible he just doesn't get a lot of visitors. It's like,
maybe
talk to me.
It's possible.
Although he didn't actually seem that talkative.
No, it seems like he didn't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, kind of going back to Demoiselle and how I don't necessarily trust her. Mm-hmm. When Demoiselle and Dusk were talking, there were and Dusk was saying like, what if my memories were edited? And she was like, well, mine haven't been edited. And he's like, but I wouldn't even know to ask you, because he just learned that like you don't even know that they're missing. The scene was very starkly lit, and I felt like she was much more darkly lit with a very strong light accent on one side. It kind of, for me, drove forward the idea a little bit more that like she might be causing trouble.
Yeah. And what is the benefit to her to that? I guess would be like, what is Demoiselle going to get out of this?
I don't know, maybe if she can like end this whole Cleonic thing, maybe she can be left to lead her own life and find her own purpose.
But I mean, she's the last of her kind. I don't know that she's going to build anybody else. It's not like she's going to run into somebody, another robot, and I don't know how you make more robots.
She seemed deeply affected at the end of the last season when she had to kill the one person from her religion, and she couldn't go against her programming. That seemed to deeply affect her. And I feel like she seemed to lose a little bit of faith in Cleon to learn that she, as a robot, did have a vision at the end of the quest. But it seems like she caught on to the fact that he did not.
Right. She's definitely more human-like. Like, even Dominion said, I've held her hand. Like, it's warm. She's been alive. So, maybe she's evolving.
Before we move on to some of the other kind of areas,
okay.
I think it's interesting that I don't know why these last, 2 episodes, I felt like there's a bunch of, worlds colliding type stuff.
Okay.
Where things from our lives or other TV shows or whatever, for whatever reason, just happen to be overlapping in an interesting way. And in this one, there's 3 of these, but the one that I thought was interesting is with Rue and Dusk, we saw that there's concubines, and I've never thought about concubines this much in my life as I have the past year. I know that you guys don't know what we watch, but we've been watching 2 animes, and Apothecary Diaries, one of them.
It's the best show. If you're not watching it, you need to go watch Apothecary Diaries. It's on Crunchyroll. It's also on Hulu, only season 1.
First season's
on Hulu. Second season's on Crunchyroll. I'm obsessed.
So that one heavily involves concubines.
Correct.
From a older Chinese, empire. Mm-hmm. And then another one, Vinland Saga, which takes place during the time of Vikings, mentions concubines. They're not heavily a part of it, but it's just weird when it's never really thought about them. And then all of a sudden it's this show, you get a concubine, you get a concubine, you get a concubine.
I mean, that's kind of how they work, right? I think that's at least in Apothecary Diaries.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. Continuing with relationships, and I think before we move to outside of Empire's direct reach,
okay.
Belle and Clay,
mm-hmm.
I like their relationship. It is sad to me seeing the disappointment of Clay that Bella's impulsive and kill those people without first making eye contact to pass that on.
It is sad. I think that when they thought they'd get back together, they were going to be right back where they were, back in sync.
Yeah.
And obviously whatever punishment that was took a toll on Bella. And that memory has affected how he moves forward and how he reacts to things now. And it's more impulsive and less teamwork. It's more survival.
Yes. And the world that they ended up on, first of all, the informant is crazy that he's stayed true to Empire even after Empire kind of abandoned that planet. But what I thought was really interesting was I didn't know that books were so rare. But it actually it reminds me of the altering of memories and some stuff that we're dealing with now, where it's books are, once you print a book, that's it. That's if there's a mistake to it, if you want to make a change to it, you have to do a whole new set of editions, and maybe eventually a book becomes hard to find, and so it can get lost to time. But they're not alterable. Right. And I wonder if that's why they've kind of been phased out, because I did think it was interesting that, I read about a TV show on Apple Plus, Mythic Quest, that got canceled after the 4th season, and it kind of had a cliffhangery ending. I didn't actually see the show. And apparently Apple let them film a new ending and release that. The original ending is gone. So if you didn't know that it was going to change and you didn't watch it, too late.
Yeah.
The original's gone. And it's interesting that in this digital age that things like that can change.
Yeah.
And so it reminds me of the memories, where it's just if it's all being held on digital server somewhere, that server can be changed, and then that's the way it is going forward.
Right. I thought it was funny that they hadn't seen books. I feel like that's the future of our, maybe not. our kids' age, but like,
Right.
you know, kids 100 years in the future are going to be like, what's a book?
Yeah.
You know?
Let's move on to Terminus and some of the people related to that. I said I like relationships and some of the ones we're saying, and I do like the cute little relationship between like Hober and the brother. You know?
Yeah, she's bold. I mean, when she was like, "Well, I wanted to be one of your bedmates, so do you have to leave?"
Yeah.
I mean, that was like put him on the spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cute to see them. It's fun to see the difference in you can kind of see the difference in who they are as people.
Yeah. It's interesting that like these worlds are so separated that I feel like they're able to be tonally different, because like as proper as everything is in Trantor, I don't feel like you would be able to have some of this kind of like comedic stuff. Like it would feel out of place.
Yeah.
And it's in the same show. So it's interesting because it feels very different tonally, you know, like the jokes that you have going on.
Back to relationships.
Yes.
Do we know the relationship between Hober and brother's dad? They knew each other.
No, we don't. Yeah, no, we don't know that.
Do we know if Hober came from Trantor? Like,
well, are you Terminus?
Terminus, sorry.
We do know that he was a cleric or tried to be a cleric or something like that. Yeah. So he was like in that.
Does that mean he went to Terminus? Like, how do they know each other?
Yeah, I don't know. And I think we'll probably get more of that. I also think that, you know, even though brother thinks that like that's it for them, there's something about their chemistry. I think they'll come back together.
I think it'll circle back. I mean, he is the blade behind them, so I do think that somehow that's how Hari described it.
Yeah.
It's like be the blade behind.
Blade in the fist behind the back.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I do think they will meet back up in some way.
Yeah.
But I'm curious what the mission is.
I really am, and curious that knowing who Hober is and that he is always trying to swindle people, that Hari can trust him to do this mission, give him a great ship.
He may not have given it to him. Hober may have just swindled that from them because he wanted the nice ship.
Maybe.
I'm just saying it wouldn't be.
But I don't think that Hari would have done that if he didn't know that it was.
That's how it's going to go down.
Yeah. I do wonder whether or not it's like Hari knows that Hober might try and like go behind his back, but that whatever he's sending him to has something juicy enough that he'll at least like first go there, and then he'll probably be like forced to do whatever Hari wants because of something happening.
Yeah.
You know? It's very interesting that he would get so much trust when we haven't seen him do anything trustworthy.
Mm-hmm. Can we also just take a second to appreciate Becky, who just is trapped in the ship now and is at whatever whim.
Yeah.
You know, they're on. She's just going along for the ride.
I think Becky's also a very funny name for something that, I mean, like that, it sounds like a very friendly name, and obviously like they have a good relationship with Becky, but Becky looks scary AF. In the, what is it called?
Vault.
In the vault. Thank you. Reminded me a little bit of like the Prime Radiant, you know, where it's like things are kind of funky in there. Especially at one point with like the stairs, but also looked a little bit different from that. To me, it reminded me very much of like the MC Escher paintings, where it's like he's the dude where it's like there's stairways that are, some of them are upside down, some of them are right side up. They're all going different, weird.
I hope you're showing the audience a picture of one right now.
Yeah, MC Escher, you'll see. He's also the hands drawing the hands.
I do know that one.
He does. He's dead.
So
spoiler alert. He did a lot of like impossible things.
Okay.
But oftentimes they're things that like if you look at a small portion of it, it looks completely legit. But like the bigger the scale that you get, it's like that this doesn't work with this. But like each of these looks fine. The middle that connects them looks fine. But when you see all of it together, then you end up with like stairs that are upside down and people that are on those stairs that are upside down, but people that are right side up. And there's like one where it's like water that it looks like the water looks like it's going downstream down this path.
Okay.
But then you see that on the other side, there's a waterfall. And so obviously like this side is climbing up and like water doesn't go up. So it's like, if you look on, anyways, very impossible stuff. And that's what it looked like. It was like
was an
impossible. The stairs in particular kind of look like MC Escher stairs.
Interesting. Okay.
And then it's wild to me, this whole like religion aspect. Because it does there are things that seem real, you know, like some of them have like seer abilities and can see things. So it does seem like religion is right in certain aspects. But then also like the way that Hari treats religion is almost like it's not real and something that can just be like used. You know, like the digital Hari seems okay with the fact that they're treating him as a like even puts his hand on like brother's head or like kisses brother's head, you know, and tells him he's doing great things. Hari knows that this is science. He's not a prophet. It's a predictive algorithm.
I mean, he has a hologram that they're sitting inside it. Like, I mean, it's other.
But it's science.
We're gonna say otherworldly when
they're literally on another world.
But he did say that civilizations had to go through these phases.
Yes.
And so I think he's just playing into the era that will help move them into the next era.
It's just there's something very like callous and utilitarian about it of like, I know this is going to happen and I can use it to my advantage, letting them make a religion of me because they'll spread the word because people happily spread gospel. Like it's easier to not understand it and think that there's something like supernatural about it and spread that than it is to like understand the science and then try and spread. Like if you tried to spread the science, people's eyes would glaze over.
Right. Especially something like the Prime Radiant, which is like a 4D space and a 3D world or whatever they were talking about. So
that was one of the other ones that was a crossover. So this Hari mentioned that the Prime Radiant is in superposition.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, we've had like Collateral.
Constellation.
Constellation on Apple TV Plus. That one had superposition. Then it was
Dark Matter.
Yeah, Dark Matter. That one had superposition, and it seems like
there are themes that becomes popular in shows, just like this religion.
It's just like science buzzwords to like explain the impossible.
And
it's
concubines.
Like, does anybody know what superposition really means? No? Okay, perfect.
Let's use it.
Let's use it. I do think it's interesting the difference between these two Haris.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm almost not, I don't really know if I remember how two Haris came to be. Once
he uploaded consciousness, he specifically made two of himself,
a copy,
so that one could be Foundation 1 Hari and the other could be Foundation 2 Hari.
They were copies of the same.
Yes.
Right? So it's just based on their experiences they're diverging, which is weird because the Hari inside the vault isn't having experiences. He lives in the vault by himself until X number of things happen, until he opens it and this one thing happens and then it closes and then he's alone for 100 years. So he's not having a lot of experiences to change who he is. But I feel like even but
I do think he is like taking in information about the world. That's how he knew about Hober Mallow. So he is experiencing some time, but he probably like, I don't know, like pauses himself for periods so he doesn't like go too mad and then like checks in and grabs a bunch of information.
They're just very different.
They're
and they were very different from the beginning. Like the Hari that woke up on the ship and the Hari that was in the vault, like they were very different from the beginning, which almost makes me feel like they weren't the same. Obviously, I know they were the same person, but that maybe they weren't uploaded at the same time, or there was some other information given to one because they're just so different now. I think they woke up that way.
But I think that like Hari on Terminus had a lot of time to get to know Salvor and see that, like, okay, this wasn't the plan. It was supposed to be Gaal, but Salvor can get this done. Like, this is fine. Versus, Hari that was on the ship that was supposed to be on with Raish to start Foundation 2. He suddenly sees Gaal there. He doesn't know that Salvor is going to take care of the first crisis. And so in his head, he's like, you're screwing everything up.
Right.
And he doesn't know that it's like, look, we'll get through the first crisis. We just got to deal with the other ones. We have to make the second Foundation. And then, so it's like he's already kind of like starting off on Happy Hari. And then he gets trapped in a 40 Prime Radiant that like is breaking his brain for a very long time.
Right.
And he goes a little cray-cray.
It's true. I mean, I'd probably go cray-cray too, so.
And then is reborn. Like, that's really gotta, like...
Yeah.
So they seem very different.
Yeah, but do you think that being reborn has changed his view on things too? Because he said, and I don't believe him, when Gaal... They were talking about Salvor, and Hari said, she's my granddaughter. She's Raish's daughter too. And Gaal said, well, would you have done something different? And he said, I would like to think I would have.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's what original Hari would have done. Like, I don't think he was putting any one person above any other one person.
Yeah.
Unless he was using them.
I do like to think that being reborn has changed. I mean, like, unless he knows that he can, like, re-upload his consciousness, it means that he has a very finite amount of time to
finish his plan.
Versus, like, I think he was planning on it being, not infinite. I know that he knows that, like, things were going to degrade.
Right.
But I think he planned on being, a steward there much longer.
Yeah. What do you think about speaking of Hari and Gaal and Salvor?
Yes.
Where they've landed? Ignis.
And
the people they've met. I am curious. So Hari has that dream about Raish.
Yes.
And then it come to find out that Talber? What was that woman's name?
I don't know the name.
Okay, but you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
He says it was you.
Yeah.
They weren't even on Ignis yet. They hadn't broken through the atmosphere yet. So how far is their reach?
I mean, it seems like it's far, because, like, it seems like the other two heard the voices before they reached.
Gaal and Salvor?
Yes, and that's what pulled them to Ignis. That's what... And it seems like all of these sighted people have been pulled there because there's, like... They share that. The interesting thing is that while they all have been kind of pulled there, that she doesn't want the Foundation, the second Foundation, but she's not telling them that.
Right. She made it sound like, come, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
There's definitely a possibility. I'm sure we can work something out. And then she was like, get the Prime Radiant. We're going to destroy it. Absolutely not. Are we having a second Foundation? Which I wonder, we're going to learn about what she knows or thinks she knows about Foundation.
Yeah.
Or does she work for Empire?
And I don't think she works for Empire. But it was interesting that she did say the word mentalics and then said that, like, we call it sighted.
Right.
And that's what the mule, when Gaal met the mule, he said, where are your mentalics? And so I don't know if that's like your sight ability or like the other ones that are like you.
Like an army?
Yeah.
Interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, so it'd come up before.
Okay. It's a good point. I hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah. But with that, I think our journey has come to an end. Thank you so much for joining us. Come back next week. We will be doing Foundation Season 2, Episodes 6 and 7. But until then, I'm Sterling. This is Dawn. Thanks.